As we continue to report on the deadly shooting, we also want to bring you some tools that can help you process your thoughts, emotions, and grief.
Dr. David Nathan is a friend of the four. He's a psychologist with Allina Health, and you always have great advice, so we really appreciate you coming in today.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, because we need professionals like you right now. I know you're saying like you're busy. People do reach out when stuff like this happens because it puts us under stress.
Absolutely.
And it can also spark deep feelings of grief, distrust, trauma, to name a few.
Sure.
What happens to like our mind, our bodies when we experience something like this?
Sure. Well, when there's really scary and unexpected stuff going on in our community, it's stressful to our mind, and our mind can be stressed and overwhelmed just like our body can. So just as like our body can get tired and strained, our mind can too, and that's what's going on for a lot of people right now.
So how do you kind of clear your mind or de-stress your own thoughts, which I think is kind of hard to do?
Right. Well, I think it's a really important thing. I really appreciate that question. First of all, it's really important. Grief takes time and energy. It's not something we kind of multitask and kind of think about it and do other things at the same time. We really need to kind of sit down and let ourselves process and kind of think about the thoughts we're having and feel the feelings we're having. And that will help us kind of metabolize those difficult thoughts and difficult feelings. But we need to be able to have time to do that. So we need to be able to set time aside and kind of be in a place where we could comfortably do that, where we're not going to be distracted.
And I guess that's normal. People are feeling that. They shouldn't be going, oh, I can't believe this. So they should be going, I should kind of lean into it and acknowledge it and accept it?
Absolutely. You know, sometimes we're really busy, but the problem is that stress that we feel, it's not going to go away if we don't deal with it.
Sure.
So it's really important that we do take time to let ourselves feel those feelings, have those thoughts. I think it's also important, right now there's a lot of people saying a lot of really angry, intense stuff on the internet, so we should avoid activities that make us feel worse. We're already feeling a little overwhelmed. And then I think it's also really important that grief is a social process. Talking to other people, getting support from other people, hearing that other people are feeling pretty crummy too, worried too, concerned too, and that we care about each other and that that they care about us and we care about them. That is also incredibly helpful.
That's a good tool, and that's a good reminder. I mean, given the city's history, if you lived here in 2020, obviously different situation,
Sure.
But some things look similar. Some people have been saying, I feel triggered, or is there a certain level of PTSD here for some people?
Sure.
What are some of the common signs of like a PTSD?
So PTSD is a long-lasting issue that can happen to people. People have kind of intrusive thoughts. They can have memories, flashbacks, things like that. They often have feelings of powerlessness, deep sadness, deep inappropriate guilt. They feel like they did something even when they didn't do anything. They can feel responsible for things that they didn't actually do. And it can make it very hard for people to feel hopeful or positive or focus on things that are not related to the scary incident that they're thinking about.
What can people do about that if they're nodding along at home, that they
Sure.
identify with some of those symptoms?
Sure. So first of all, the good news is there's lots of really effective treatments for PTSD. So talking to a therapist can be extremely helpful. Also, it's really important if people are having those feelings. And this can include just feeling really overwhelmed. It's very difficult to concentrate on things. It's very difficult to do activities we're normally able to do because we just keep on being pulled back into those thoughts and feelings about whatever is really scaring us. Get out and talk to people. Often if we kind of sit there and we're kind of stuck under those feelings, it's not going to get better on its own. It can be treated, but it needs to be treated to get better.
Columbia Heights today, Fridley, Minneapolis Public Schools. I mean, when a 10-year-old comes and goes, hey, Mom, Dad, why am I not going to school today? I mean, I guess it's hard to say, well, there was a shooting and that's why you're not in class.
Sure.
How do you help navigate all that?
I think, first of all, this is a really important time for parents and caregivers to take care of themselves because they need to have these conversations with their kids and they need to be in a good place to have these conversations. And if they're very busy or very overwhelmed, it's going to be hard for them to really be there and present for their children when they have these conversations. Second of all, they need to have these conversations because kids have questions and teenagers have questions. And if they don't get the answers from their primary caregivers and their parents and other loved ones, they're going to ask other people and get answers to those questions. And we don't know what those other people are going to say.
Any extra nurturing ideas? Do you need to maybe give them a little more love right now?
Absolutely. I think this is a good weekend for people to just try and kind of take it easy, not be really, really busy, not be overly scheduled. But if people thinking, maybe I'm not sure if I should cancel things or not, maybe err on the side of canceling things, maybe err on the side of like trying to keep things light, because people are under a lot of strain and adding potentially more strain could make things a lot worse. course.
Light sounds good.
Light sounds
yeah,
great.
some levity.
Yeah.
How can folks reach you, the people you're associated with?
Sure. So I think if people are having concerns with these symptoms or they notice the symptoms in other loved ones, contact a doctor, contact a psychologist. We have many people at Allina who can help you, so people can go to allinahealth.org and get help there.
Okay, Dr. Nathan, we appreciate it. Thanks so much for coming in.